Have you ever wondered why uh, some of these churches with questionable characters, or a particular church with a lot of question marks, uh, serve free food, or in some cases, food that they are to buy to their congregants? This is a Babylonian practice that has been borrowed. And in fact, what happens is that those foods, when you eat them, it dociles your spirit and put you under the control of the particular leader of that church. And in such a case, you see that this particular preacher, he is saying things that are not in the Bible, or things that are contrary to the Bible. And yet, you see these congregants, they are cheering him up. And you wonder, if they don't read the Bible, those members remain loyal. And they will defend this particular leader, even to the point of death. They have been docile and under the control of this particular leader. Now, let's connect this to the book of Daniel. I know a lot of believers are aware of the story where the Bible said, Daniel purposed in his heart not to defile himself with a portion of the king's meat. And I know a lot of people might not understand the premises to which Daniel rejected the sumptuous meal from the king's table. So this is what happened. When King Nebuchadnezzar invaded Jerusalem, he took away the tribe of Benjamin, Judah, and the tribe of Levi. He took them to captivity in Babylon, in the land of Shinar. He asked one of his chief eunuchs, that's Aspenas, to look among the Hebrew boys and select some of them that were well versed in science, wisdom, and knowledge. And therefore, Aspenas selected Hananiah, whose name was changed to Shadrach, and then Mishael, whose name was changed to Meshach, and then Azariah, whose name was changed to Abednego, and they changed Daniel's name to Belteshazzar. All these names were names that were named after the Babylonian gods. So you can see how connected Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon were to their gods. And if you go to the verse 11 of Daniel chapter 1, Daniel and the three Hebrew boys, they refused to eat the food from the king's table and negotiated with the steward that was in charge of them to only feed them with food made from vegetables and water for a period of 10 days. And I know a lot of believers might think that the period of 10 days means literally just 10 days, but that isn't the case. The 10 days there means a period of test, which means Masa. It's a period of test. So it doesn't mean exactly 10 days.
In fact,
so
that is true.
Fortunately for them, the steward, though it was risky, but then he took the risk and then offered them their request. So they were fed with vegetables for the period of test. And if you now go to the verse 15, the Bible said, after the period of test, they look more fairer, fatter, and their countenance was of a more good looking than the wise men and astrologers of the king. And when they stood before the king, Nebuchadnezzar noticed that their wisdom and intelligence was 10 times better than that of his wise men and astrologers. So now the question is, why did Daniel and these three Hebrew boys refuse to eat the food from the king's table? But who wouldn't want to eat food from the king's table? Of course, it's going to be sumptuous and of a good meal, but they rejected it. So this is the reason. King Nebuchadnezzar served a Babylonian god known as Baal Marduk. And in fact, Marduk is the head patron of all the gods of Babylon. And he also served another god known as Nabu. And in fact, he named this Nabu after his name, that is Nebuchadnezzar. So you now understand why he has to rename Daniel and the three Hebrew boys with the Babylonian gods. So what happened is that the food that was served at the king's table, served to his astrologers and wise men, those food corrupted the spirit of these astrologers and wise men. In fact, it dociles their minds and put them under the control of the Babylonian gods and subsequently the control of Nebuchadnezzar. So this was what God revealed to Daniel. So that was why he stood on his grounds never to eat those foods. In fact, a lot of believers need the spirit of discernment. Sometimes some of these things, but without the spirit of discernment, it will be hard to really get to know this. So that was why they refused to eat the food. And if they had eaten the food, they will be under the control of the Babylonian gods. You see, and in reality, one of the most powerful tools or point of contact the devil can use to destroy a lot of believers or inflict pain, sicknesses on people is through food. But the story is told about a lady who was selling drinks. She was carrying these drinks on her head. And upon approaching a man of God, she decided to run away. And what happened is that the drinks she was selling was not actual drinks. They were drinks that contain spiritual sicknesses. Whoever buys these drinks, after drinking, you start noticing that there are certain weird sicknesses that you don't have record of, these sicknesses that are in your body. The doctors will go and scan. They won't find any evidence of this sickness, but you are suffering the sickness. These are some of the ways that people are attacked. Some of these food they sell outside, you need to be very, very careful. Sometimes they might not necessarily give you sicknesses, but after eating a particular food you bought from outside, say that it weakens your spirit. If you were someone that was prayerful, you cannot pray again. You feel lazy to pray. Or they give you sickness. And that is the mission of that particular food seller. Yeah, so let us know your thought at the comment section. Have you ever had an experience where probably after eating someone's food, your spirit has gone weak and you cannot pray? Or probably after eating a particular food, you notice a particular sickness that has come upon you that up to now you are suffering that sickness. Or you know someone who have this experience. You can let us know this at the comment section. Stay spiritual and then stay safe out there.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the Seeking the Light 300 channel for more. Bye.